Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Gamecast, episode 709. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gass, joined by Corey Feinsod.
Ahoy!
And Tony Korkanakis.
Hey.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners. Welcome, viewers. We are live on Twitch Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock. Please join us for these broadcasts. Mike is on vacation, if you're listening to the movie cast. So he will join us next week, and we'll hear about what he's playing. Vacation Mike, he's usually old-fashioned. I'm going to make a guess. It's the GameCube or something like that, but we'll see. Maybe Nintendo 64. All right, so this is our Gamecast, folks. What have we been up to? I've watched a lot of stuff last week, but I did play through Chapter 7. I just finished Chapter 7 of Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. So that was a long chapter. Like, that was a big one, that one. So, so I did not expect it to be, because I went through a couple chapters pretty quick, I felt like. But then when you get back into the open world, this one just, like, you know, this is a bigger land that I've been to. So
not all the chapters are equal.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing.
Yeah, some are much longer than others.
This one took me a while. Yeah, this was a big chapter, so got through it, and enjoying the game quite a bit. It's same like I said last week, so I'm enjoying it, and that's pretty much it for myself. Corey?
Yeah, I'm still playing Final Fantasy as well. I feel like I'm at the end of Chapter 13, but we'll see. I will say that the game, I don't like when the game splits like your parties and you have to play as certain characters, because I'm so used to playing as Tifa like the entire time. Like, I think her power set and like the play style for her in the newer system is like the most fun for me. And so then when you're forced to play other characters, I'm like, oh, it's not.
Yeah.
So I always like, oh no, why you have to do this?
Yeah, obviously I just through Chapter 7 was a big one with that, with Yuffie coming back, and so you're changing parties. I also don't have enough materia really between all of them, so I have to, like, I don't have duplicates, so I keep moving.
Then.
I know. I just keep moving the materia back and forth. But because I know what I like to use, so when I get new characters, I just take the other characters' materia and put it on their weapons, and I just go, because so I have the same play style essentially, except for, like you said, Tifa's got a very good play style for the game, like the combo system and stuff, the uppercuts. I love that. But I like to switch to Barrett too on occasion, because I like his just to charge up essentially and get a lot of specials and stuff. He's quick with that. So I like going back and forth. I love how we're talking about these characters and nobody's mentioning Cloud, who's like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to start off Control, but I always change immediately to send another team party member. So, team leader, sorry. But yeah, that's cool. So I don't know if I'll catch you. Sounds like you're almost done, but we'll see. I gotta go on vacation soon myself, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to play too much. I will be able to play it this weekend at least, so we'll see what I can get through this weekend. But Tony, what have you been playing?
The big thing was I finally finished the Shadows of the Erdtree Elden Ring DLC, and
another it's not bad, but it's not good.
What is this? This is the night of just the
So, like, here's the thing. I mean, for me personally, it's always hard for me to go back to DLC that isn't heavily story oriented, right? Like, Xenoblade is great because it's a new story. RPGs in general, it's a new story, right? So
or expands on the stories, right? Like that.
Whereas, like, gameplay, it's a bit harder, right? Because, basically, and I said it before, it feels like Elden Ring 1.5, which is fine, right? And for the most part, I did enjoy that. But here's the thing. The last boss in this game is ridiculous. And I mean ridiculous, to the point where I'm just like, and I beat it. Took me 2 hours, right? And that's fast, according to people I've talked to, which I'm not trying to brag or anything like that.
Well, like the one guy on this stream, right? He was had a therapist because it took him so long.
Exactly. But the thing is, the entire time I'm fighting him, and even after beating him, I didn't feel that, like, fist pump, jump out of my chair, like, hell yeah, I did it. I was just kind of like, thank God.
Fuck you. Like,
fuck you.
It's over. It's over.
It's just like, yeah. Because what can I say about this encounter? I'm not going to spoil the character name or anything like that. But, like, it just feels like you're playing a character literally from Dragon Ball. Because when the fight begins, right? And the one thing the Elden Ring DLC bosses tend to do is because in the base game, people like to use their ashes in the summons, right? Which is fine. They're in the game for a reason. But like, as soon as you walk through the fog, right, you just ring your little bell to summon your dude, most likely the mimic. And the bosses in the base game, they'll let you do that. They don't fucking care, right? In the DLC, almost every single boss has a move that either is a projectile towards you, or like they straight up like do a bum rush or a flying sword meteor dive or something like that. And the final boss has that, and he opens with that like 80 to 90% of the time. And if you get hit, it's just like I had like a strength X faith build, I think. So I had a decent amount of health and pretty heavy armor, and it did like 80% of my health if I get hit by that. It's fairly easy to dodge, but like the thing is like, okay, so when are you summoning your ash, right, or something like that? And so I tried. I was like, okay, well, I'll dodge this first move, and then I run away, and then I summon it. But this boss is such an asshole. Like, he does not give you like any breaks at all. Like in most any Soulsborne game, it's an ebb and flow, right? Where it's like swing, 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 and then there's an opening, swing, 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 and then there's an opening, something like that. This boss has very little openings, and they're all very short. And basically, if you want to do anything, like you have to be super safe. Like even if you're just drinking your health potion, like you got to make sure, like, okay, I know it's safe to do this, or I'm just going to eat shit and either negate the damage that I just recovered from the potion, or I'm going to take more damage than if I just not drank that potion and stuff like that. And like the boss is just so ridiculous in everything he does, hits stupidly hard. His combo strings are ridiculous. His range is ridiculous. His speed is ridiculous. Like, here's the thing. So I used an Ash. I don't fucking care if people are like, oh, it's not whatever. It's like, whatever. It's in the fucking game. I'm using it. Mm-hmm. So most of the time it's safe where you're like, okay, he's fighting my mimic or whatever like that. I'm just going to run up and I'm going to start hitting him. He can be mid combo beating up on your Ash and just turn to you and like the last move in that combo just attack you. And it's like, what? Like, so I guess you got eyes in the back of your head and you're just, sure, man, whatever, you do you. So it just felt to the point where it's like, this is challenging, but not in the good ways. Yeah. So it really brought down the experience for the DLC for me, where I'm just like, yeah, you know, like I guess I'm happy I played it, so I can at least say I've played it, right? But like, I could have done without it.
Yeah. All right. Take it or leave it. Yeah, I get it. Plus, you said it's the long break. It's tough to go back. You know what I mean? It's just really tough to go back. So, all right. Let's get into some news, guys. We've got a lot to talk about in gaming side this week. We'll kick it off with MPD. I saw you posted the MPD.
No. Not MPD. Circana.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm going to always call it MPD because it's just ingrained in me forever. But yeah, it's been a month. We were talking about Xbox's faltering stuff last week. Let's see what we got this week. So, let me get this in front of me. I'm trying to do this with a new computer. Let's see, June 22. This is for June. Let's see, projected U.S. spending on hardware, content, accessories total $4.6 billion, falling 5% compared to a year ago. 5%. First half spending grew 1% compared to first half of 2023, reaching $27.3 billion. Anything on this chart, real quick, Tony, that's impressive? The games.
Elden Ring back.
I'm gonna go to the games. I just meant on the hardware chart. Yeah. All right, so the games are, let's see, Elden Ring back to number one, as we just got done talking about it. So, it did its job. It brought it back to number one for the month. Sales-wise are great. Call of Duty, Kingdom Hearts. Why?
It was Steam.
Steam? God, PC. It was, last month for that game, it was $3.99. And now it's number
They had
3.
some good deals for, like, bundles for all the games and stuff.
People were waiting for it because it was locked to Epic Game Store for, like, 2 years, 3 years, something like that.
Got it. Let's see. Shin Megami Tensei 5, Hogwarts, Minecraft. Oh, Luigi's Mansion was number 10. That launched. Does not include digital, obviously. It's pretty good. Anything else in this chart? Let's see. Mario Kart 8 is my new... Oh, I'm part of that. I picked up Mario Kart 8. Yeah. I forgot. I'm part of that number. I finally own Mario Kart 8 after how many years it's been out. So Mario Kart 8 is number 17 on the chart. But it's Mario Kart. It's great. It's nothing wrong with it. It's a great game. That's I know what I was getting when I bought it finally. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. That's it for the chart, right? We're good on that. Yeah. Interesting. All right. What else we've got in the news? We've got we have some layoffs. We have some bad news. So we got some closures and we got some layoffs. So we'll do that. Let's see. Last week, right after the podcast, was the day after, I believe. Bungie talked about layoffs. I think it was Wednesday of last week, if I remember right. So it's been almost a little while now. We haven't got to talk about it on here. But Sony's Bungie shrinking from 1,300 people to 850, apparently. There's a lot more about this. I didn't link into this part, but we can talk about it. So Bungie is financially in some shit. I mean, that's the best way to say it. There's rumors that they oversold themselves to Sony. Is that what they did? Sony?
Yeah, I mean, when they bought them, I think it was, pandemic, right? So all the numbers were pretty inflated because people were inside playing video games and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's probably the height of Destiny 2, I'm guessing. I don't know, Corey.
Yeah, I'm sure, because I'm not sure when the talks started, obviously, because you're going to announce things way later than things started. But yeah, at that time, like the Witch Queen, I think, was around, happened right there. So that was probably the height of Destiny 2, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I know that they launched that expansion and then the numbers fell back to normal quite quickly. And then, so that didn't do it for them. Destiny 3 is also not in production right now, right? That was 100% confirmed.
It doesn't seem like it. It was never started.
I mean, we're not getting confirmed, but according to the insiders who are, talking to Jason Schreier, another journalist, it seems like the plan forward is just Destiny 2 updates. And they did have a spin-off for...
Oh, okay.
Well, that they were going to have a spin-off.
Right, they were going to, and then didn't pan out.
Yeah, so they don't have a direction to fix this, right? They just Destiny 2 just keep trying to hit it with that.
Well, I mean, so the thing is with Destiny 2, they're I don't want to say sunset, right? But they're in the, hey, this is like the end of life-ish, where it's like we're gonna do minimal updates or what, and that's my read on it. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, well, there's no major expansion.
Right, there's no major expansion, anything like that.
His final shape was the end of the story. Like they don't have a story after this.
Right. Yeah. But they're transitioning over to Marathon, and it's just kind of like we talk about with like things like Overwatch and Concord and Marvel Rivals, although I think it's an exception, where it's like, hey, even though you're the master of this, right? And we've talked about how Destiny, and especially Destiny 2, was great at games as a service, right? Probably the pinnacle of how to do that. Where it's like, hey, you almost did too good of a job, where it's like, how are you going to transition people, or what's the plan? Do you transition Destiny 2 players over to Marathon, or are you trying to get an entirely new demographic? Either way, I think you have a very hard job ahead of you.
Yeah,
and just like Epic Games would have a hard time if they're like, hey, we want to do like another game that's Fortnite in nature but not Fortnite, right? Like you'd be like, what are you doing? Right? What are you fucking doing? So I don't know. And apparently there's something else that they were juggling in the air, some other projects that aren't looking like they're going to see fruition either, which is just insane to me that you're like, you have your money made, you have your golden goose, right? And it's like, hey, we're going to have these 5 teams working on different things, which included that spin-off game, Marathon, obviously, and 3 other projects we don't really know anything about, but it's like,
we got a whole bunch of money from a Chinese company to build something else. So who knows what that is. Yeah, it seems like you're downsizing, but you need to make more Destiny. I feel like Sony bought you guys to kind of have that as an ongoing thing. Like we talked about it in the podcast before, but everybody wants that monthly income, like games as a service thing where they can get that guaranteed, people coming in, buying cosmetics all the time, buying different things and having those expansions every quarter or whatever it is, and updates and stuff. And here, if you don't have a new game ready to go and you don't have a path forward, like what are you doing then? Like they have 800 people, like they're not all going to be working on marathons. So.
No, absolutely not. And just from the people I saw that were laid off, unfortunately, speaking up on like Twitter mostly, saying that they feel, right, they like obviously they feel bad because they got fired, but also at the same time they feel bad because who's left that is going to steward Destiny 2, right? Because all those people's jobs that are left over, like their jobs just got immensely more difficult because you're doing what the same amount of work at best, like with less people. Like that doesn't make sense.
35%, like the staff is just gone.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And it wasn't just like rank and file workers. There were some of the people that have been there since decades, like Luke Smith, who used to be on the One Up show, I think, and One Up. Yeah, he was an executive, whatever. And he got laid off and stuff like that. So like nobody seemed like, and like I think
he was there forever.
The musicians were gone. You had
the composer,
all the musicians. Like you don't have a musician left. So like what are you doing?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
I don't.
And it just goes to show. And like I'm sorry to say that, but like fuck Bungie leadership, especially what is his name, Peter.
Whoever that guy was buying classic
Peter Parsons.
Pete Parsons.
Yeah, Pete Parsons. And the day this came out, his Twitter had to go private because he was getting so much deserved hatred online. And I'm sorry to say, like, fuck him. And I've talked about this, right? Like, it just never made sense to me because Bungie as an entity has gone from, hey, we want to escape clutches of being owned. We want to make our own IP. We don't want to keep working on Halo for the rest of our lives. Microsoft, in a strange move, is like, sure, we'll let you guys buy yourselves out. Whatever, that's fine. We didn't think we treated you that bad, but okay, go ahead. Yeah. You have our blessing. Great. Okay, we're going to get into bed with Activision now. And we're going to do a 10-year deal for Destiny. It's like, what's Destiny? Oh, it's a sci-fi shooter. It's like, oh, okay. All right, Bungie. Is this really that different, behind the scenes? Apparently it wasn't, because a couple years into that, right, after Destiny 1, they're like, you know what? Let's buy our way out of this contract with Activision. So we own the IP. We're going back to being independently owned. Okay, sure. And Activision, somehow, with Bobby Kotick, somehow they were able to do that. Maybe Pete's just really good at, like, sucking dick behind the scenes. I don't know. So then they get their ownership back. They have full control over Destiny again.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then just a couple years later, hey, we're being acquired by Sony, another first-party hardware manufacturer. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, explain to me the reasoning and this. Like, how does this make sense?
Yeah, I don't know how it makes sense. Like, I didn't understand it when they went from Microsoft to Activision, and then even worse when they went from Activision to Sony. Like, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Well, especially because of the things that they said coming out of those relationships. Yeah. Like, that's what so surprising.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna get in bed with this other huge company now and be tied to them, which is a first party company, not even like third party where we can spread our games out. But I'm sure we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure, but I mean, when you have Destiny on multi-platform and it's making all this money, it's assumed it was making a lot of money. Like,
so the silver lining here is that apparently Sony saved a certain number of employees to head up a new studio for a new game.
Yep.
So there's some silver lining here.
Around 75. Yeah.
Which is good. And we don't know how much of this is true, but from what I've read, Sony is starting to take more control of Bungie. Where
as they should at this point.
It seems like they absolutely should, right? And I usually never advocate for that, but we've just went over Bungie's history here. So hopefully, in my best case scenario, Sony fully takes them over and gives Pete the boot, because fuck that dude. Running that ship right into the ground, right? It's almost the inverse of 343, right? 343, despite what people have done there, like the leadership just couldn't do it. And here it's like, oh, despite leadership, the game and the franchise is successful, but the CEO's an asshole. So
yeah.
Hopefully he gets the boot. That's my personal wish there. And again, I don't even play Destiny, but it's just like, bro.
Just being as an outside viewer and seeing how this stuff is going down, it's like crazy. Like for you, I mean, I can't imagine like being a fan of Destiny and having like so many hours put into Destiny and seeing all this stuff. It's like so disappointing because like I know it can be a great game and it's brought so many people together, and it's like the community stuff they did on is so cool.
And that's the thing is like, again, I don't want to talk about Bungie, the people, right? Because from all accounts I know, Bungie, the people and the people that make up most of the company are great, right? They make a great game. People are happy with that. And they've taken a lot of good stances, like protecting their developers from like all the online toxicity, right? People who are harassing their developers and stuff. They had a very strong, LGBTQ stance, which is great and everything like that. But it's just the CEO is an asshole who's greedy and wants to buy a lot of fucking rich vintage cars instead of taking care of his employees. So fuck him, right?
Yeah.
Fuck
No,
him.
and they started something that I thought was really cool. It's like when you did something in the game, it allowed you to buy something in real life, which was really cool. Like I have a little Ace of Spades model that I got because I got the gun in the game, and then they gave you a code to be able to purchase it online, and that's cool. And like if you beat the raid within a certain time, you could get the jacket. And I was like, oh, that jacket is so freaking cool, and I couldn't get it because I didn't beat it in time. So yeah, that's like really neat that they did that, and they had like the Moments of Triumph stuff, and they got their 10-year anniversary coming up. It's like, oh man, all this stuff like for Destiny, it's like really disappointing to see what's going on right now.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Star Wars Jedi Survivor coming out for PS4 and Xbox One now, coming out in September. Finally, after over a year ago, they announced that, right? So they're back porting it, going back.
Yeah, I mean, which is fine, right? Because like, I mean, how many times have we talked about it where adoption of the new systems is just install base is not there. I'm sure there are potential owners, but also at the same time, I read this as just we're also working on a Switch 2 version, but we can't talk about that just yet.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I think so.
Which is unfortunate because like the buried in that link I posted, they're talking about updates for PC, which has been the entire reason I have still held off in this game because apparently the performance is shit on PC, which just does not make sense to me.
Still, a year ago,
right?
Yeah,
and this is like I'll continue to wait, right? Just like Cyberpunk, I waited what 2-3 years for them to fix it. Like I'll wait
2 years,
and you're not going to get a $60 purchase from me or $70 purchase from me. You might get like a $10 Steam sale discount now. So
All right. Longtime magazine Game Informer has been shut down permanently by GameStop as of immediately. Everybody was let go. They took over the social media account, and it's done. Gone.
Yeah, man. This is a feel bad.
Yeah.
It is a huge fucking feel bad because Game Informer was the one thing that like. First of all, they were one of the few print magazines still for gaming.
What's
still
left
there
besides that one? Yeah.
Not to mention they did a lot of great work. Their covers have been gorgeous for years. Like I know if you like look at the older ones, you just like kind of it was like the Batman Arkham City cover. It's like 10 out of 10, all the blurbs is like is this more of an advertisement than a cover?
That 100 like greatest RPGs cover was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. They did a lot of great work, and just to see it go all of a sudden like that,
out of nowhere, it felt like
no announcement.
And this is just a couple months after they finally allowed you to subscribe without the GameStop Pro membership.
The Pro membership, yes.
Like they just announced that earlier this year, and people were like, "Oh, cool! I don't have to buy a useless, subscription service to get this." So it's like, how do you open up sales of this stuff and somehow you still can't make it work? Like it's not like you lost sales because of it. I imagine, right? You can't, you would only get more.
You gave people more options to buy.
Yeah. So it just feels really shitty. And then my understanding is the staffers still had access to the account information on Twitter. And they said, so first, hold on. Let me rewind. The post where they announced the closure was absolutely written by AI. It was like, what the fuck? Like, as I read it, I was just like, this just sounds weird. And then I think an hour or two after I had said that in our Discord, Jason Schreier was even like, hey, I told ChatGPT to write me a blurb. Yeah. It was like almost like 80 or 90% the same. It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So fuck that. Like you can't even
let the people
do that. Because then what happened was the employees that still had access to the Twitter account posted a genuine goodbye, like heartfelt, thanks for all the years, I think it was like be well and play well or something like that, right? It was very succinct, very beautiful.
Letter. Very good, yeah.
And then GameStop people were just like, no, fuck you, and just purged the entire fucking account.
Yep. They deleted
Purging
it
the
from existence.
entire
Yep.
Game Informer Twitter account, which is insane.
Yeah.
It's just,
I mean,
you know what? Man,
yeah, not
fuck
good.
GameStop.
Yeah, it was not cool. And
And
it's like,
I'm usually at GameStop. Like, I'm an advocate for GameStop. I think they have a good place in the ecosystem, but like, this is a fucking really shitty move.
And it's also like why? Like why did they go that far? Like what is the harm in leaving that there? Especially since it wasn't bad mouthing GameStop in any way.
No, it wasn't. It was just a good
Right.
thought.
So it's not like it's just it's there to prop GameStop up, if anything. To say, oh, yeah, look at this was a good thing that they were going, but yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
And it's just again, out of nowhere it seems like to just be gone.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't understand why. Yeah, it's churro as well. Like, I get not wanting to pay for the print, but not like why not go make them go digital or something? You know what I mean? Like to make it.
They had the digital option too.
Yeah, but like they never really forced it. Maybe they just get rid of the print entirely and just make it digital, so it saves some money that way.
It's
like,
not about that, right? It's about the salaries. That's what it is.
I get it. Yeah, I know.
About the salaries.
I know.
Which is just, I can't imagine having people on is like, your fucking GameStop. Like, it's the bad sign. This is a bad sign that GameStop, the company, is doing really bad, really poorly. Yeah. And we've talked about that. Remember when Reggie was a member of the board and for like only a year or something like that, they had no plan.
Yeah.
Yep. And they wouldn't take his advice or his suggestions.
Like, how do you not take the former CEO of Nintendo of America? Like, seriously.
I don't know. Inventor of the Bigfoot pizza. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
the Big
see
New Yorker.
Yeah, the Big New Yorker. I thought it was Bigfoot pizza. He's Big New Yorker. All right. What else we got? This is all big. This is bad news. This is all bad news this week. Sorry, everybody.
We've got Warner Brothers 2024.
Warner Brothers Discovery's report is considering selling this a stake in its video game business. So that came out. That was today, right? That came out.
Mm-hmm.
Which we've talked about this multiple times. How like on the movie cast and now over here, like this company is in bad shambles too. Like this is in shambles. This company. So I can't imagine that they even like what gaming has become so expensive. I can't see how they haven't sold this stuff yet. Like seriously, like I'm shocked because it's easy money back for them for IPs.
Who else is gonna buy them? That's the thing. There's not many.
It's true. You're right.
Like, the Discovery thing was supposed to help them with a lot of their problems, and it didn't. So
yeah. So I will see what they do.
That's just a long line of. I mean, remember it was what was it, AOL, Time Warner, or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
way back in the day, like.
Yeah.
People running the company are just bad at it.
Yep. We've got what else we got going on? Avowed was delayed last week. Did we talk about that last week? I can't remember.
I think we mentioned.
I think it broke after.
It broke after.
Because Avowed's coming now February 18th of 2025, and I have no problem with the delay. I don't have a problem with it because I expected it. But anyways, but my issues are like with the reasoning behind this, because they felt that the slate was so stacked they had to move a game out to give it its own room, and I'm like, what is happening? What is coming from you guys that we don't even know? Maybe we don't know about. But
from who though? Like what people don't know what
Microsoft.
about is.
So like here's what we got. So again,
Avowed is
it was supposed to come out this fall.
Obsidian game, right?
Avowed is the Obsidian game, and it was coming this fall. It was a big game for them. We've talked about it. There's not many big games for Microsoft this year, but apparently they felt that their slate was so full they had to move this out. That's what they said. I feel like there's more polish that this game needs, and it's probably needs there's more than they thought. But you can't just announce a delay these days. I don't know why. So their slate for this fall is World of Warcraft expansion, Age of Mythology retold. Aura History Untold? What is Aura?
Aura, I don't know what Aura is. History Untold. You have Diablo 4,
Diablo 4 expansion, Black Ops 6, which is obviously
coming. There's a console game finally.
Flight Simulator 2024. This is a big game. This is a big game for them, Flight Simulator. And then after that, everything's to be announced. So you have Indiana Jones, Shattered Space, Towerborn, and then 2025. But Indiana Jones, I don't think is making it this year. So what's the reasoning then when that gets delayed? Because I don't think it's coming. I don't think it's coming this fall. But
it is really weird. We still do not have a release date for that. It's August.
And it's supposed to be this year.
Yeah, you assume it's a November release.
Yeah, I thought even late November you still have to start.
Even give us a month.
You have to start. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, it's coming out in November. When though? But it doesn't matter. It's coming out November. Like they said this year, which is crazy.
we've got another release date for Avowed, like I said, February 18th already of next year, but we don't have something from this year that's supposed to be a big game from them. I don't know what they're planning. I don't know what they're doing. They don't, again, this is about direction and leadership at the wheel, and I don't feel like there's good ones there. So,
I mean, we'll get COD, which is usual, but like that's not a Microsoft. Like I don't view that. I mean, as a Microsoft game, it's already in the.
They do.
Of course they do. I mean, it's been in the
it.
pipeline
They
for how long
inherited it,
before?
yeah.
Same with Diablo. It's like, come on, like that's.
Yeah.
What actually are you doing here?
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I don't even know.
I wish Mike were on here. I wish Mike were on here tonight because he's the only advocate left for Game Pass, and I would love for him to talk about like what game. He'd be like, "Well, yeah, I'll play Indiana,
right?" But that might not even come. What is Shattered Space?
Yeah, I don't even know.
I'm sorry. Shattered Space is the expansion for Starfield.
Right.
Got it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So,
all right, and there's no date for that. There's no date for that yet.
No date for that. How do you have? We're almost the last quarter. Where are your fucking release dates?
I mean, it's so packed that you had to push the game out. So.
The date's got to be here by September, or it's not happening, folks. Just so you know. All right.
I just don't know. I don't know.
Finishing it with what's that? Yeah, I know. We'll see.
No, none of these games are Microsoft Studio games either. Like these are all studios they bought that are.
Yeah, and they're not major releases. They're like, come on, they're expansions and like.
Like, where's the Gears? Where's the Fables? Where's?
I don't know.
Whatever other first party thing you had.
Decay, whatever.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, they even bought that studio. It wasn't even there originally. Yeah. So.
All right.
And Halo's gone. I mean, Halo's done. That's.
Yeah.
Put a fork in it.
They don't have IPs. All right. Square Enix is the last bit of news we have, and they are not in the best financial shape either. Let's see.
I thought this tweet was kind of weird, but we'll go through it.
I agree. You don't think it was weird? They only made like.
No, I think it's weird sometimes.
Oh yeah, 68%. Essentially, they were on call. They had the operating profit. They have a year. They talked about their sales on their call, and they reported a year-over-year drop despite the release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Essentially, the takeaways were that like 68.4% of the operating profit is from MMO games and 31.1% from mobile games from them for this this year over year, and only 0.5% from non-MMO PC games and console games. So 0.5% of their profits is what I'm looking at, right? Am I reading this right? So
right, but so the thing, and this is why I didn't like this tweet by Eurogamer, and unfortunately Daniel Ahmad, aka Zooge EX, which I think is usually pretty good.
Yeah.
But the thing that people are forgetting that this is a new quarter. So when they're talking about this, you have to look at the quarterly releases, right? MMO is an ongoing thing, so obviously MMOs could be profitable. Gotcha. Same thing with the mobile games, right? When they're like, oh, it's only 0.5 from non-MMO PC and console games. It's like, okay, so what does that imply? That implies back catalog stuff, right? That implies their PC games, which in this quarter they released Kingdom Hearts on Steam, and console games, which the only console game they've released this quarter is that new Saga game, which nobody gives a fuck about. So to me, it's like, that makes fucking sense, but that doesn't get clicks. It doesn't get...
It's not spin. You gotta spin it, so it's like, oh no, look at this drastic difference.
Well, I know that the thing is, like, I know they were disappointed in the sales of Rebirth, like, a lot. And
no, absolutely.
I think that a lot has to do with your...
Yeah.
We just talked about at the beginning of the podcast about, like, just your reach. Well, we just talked about, with Jedi Survivor, with previous consoles. Like, they only released them on PS5. So it's like... You don't have the install base of that console like you had with the PS4 that you could have done with, with Final Fantasy VII, the remake. It's not even near the install base. So you're already at less customers that have to buy the game. You're not going to do as well in sales. You're not. You're just not going to.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, Remake, the first one, was a PS4 exclusive at first, right?
Sure.
And that wound up selling, I think, over 7 million, 8 million copies, somewhere around that range. Lifetime to date, right? And that's pretty solid. That's pretty good.
Very good. Very good.
But the thing is, PS4 user base is at like 100 million something at that point, right?
Yeah.
PS5 is at half-ish that.
55? I think 55.
55, it's something like that.
I think
And we've already talked about how because live service games are so good these days, people just aren't even upgrading the consoles. Why should they? It's like if you want to play Fortnite, if you want to play Apex Legends, if you want to play Minecraft, if you want to play Call of Duty, you don't need to fucking upgrade your PlayStation 4.
No.
They're still releasing those games and stuff like that. So to be like you, and this is absolutely a Square Enix issue, right? And that was the old CEO. The new CEO came in, and we talked about that, reported, said, hey, first big thing, we are going multi-platform because we can't do this exclusive shit anymore, right? We can't. We just cannot afford to do it.
You can't. Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, that takes time, right?
I know.
All these plans, everything that we're seeing for probably the next 3-4 years is still going to be stuff that was made by that last CEO.
Yeah, the old regime.
So, right, when we see a bad result from Square Enix, I'm like, yeah, I didn't expect a good one. Like, who expected a good one? Like, we just saw them bomb back-to-back Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. And at least with the Rebirth, I can understand, like, okay, people know it's a 3-part game now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people were excited to go out and try that first one because it was like, oh, remake. You hear that. And you release Rebirth as a PS5 exclusive, not even a PC version. And you're like, yeah, and then part 3 is going to be probably 4 or 5 years out. Like, there's diehards like us that are going to be like, okay, well, still, I want to play the new game. It got great reviews and stuff like that. But there's going to be a lot of people like, okay, well, maybe I'll get a PS5 then.
Yeah, 3
right?
years.
There's no rush. I got fucking 5
when it's on when the last one's on the horizon. Yeah, it's not even close. It's not even on there now. So
right, so it's just like okay, I get
or
it.
Or I'll wait for PC or whatever.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what it is. It's unfortunate. I'm not saying Square Enix doesn't have problems, but the fixes for them are years away, and until that happens, I'd say bare minimum 4 years.
Plus, if you're going like multi-platform with everything, you need people that are capable of developing the games for those platforms if you haven't had the experience. I know they put other stuff like multi-platform, but at the same time, it's like a big change. Can't just do that overnight.
Yep, takes time.
I get that. I mean, we gave Microsoft benefit of the doubt for many years to try to rebound, and they didn't do it.
For two generations.
Yeah, because we understood. Like, you understand. Like, there's a regime change. It's going to take a while to see those effects. So hopefully we get some good stuff from Square going forward. And I just don't want this to affect the next game, the third one. So
yeah, and I mean that's the thing is that what a lot of people want to talk about, and I get that, right? That is a fear, but my educated guess is that, again, we talked about this before, that this deal for Final Fantasy VII, the remake series, was done a decade ago at this point, right? It was inked a decade ago between the CEO of Sony back then, who's not the CEO anymore, and it was the CEO of Square Enix back then, who's not the current CEO anymore. And they said, hey, look, PlayStation is a reliable, the best platform for Final Fantasy fans. We have no issues. In 2014, they had no issues with Final Fantasy fans showing up on PlayStation 4. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And now it's a decade later. Things are drastically different. But I think the deal that was inked was for the trilogy, because they straight up said, we can't do this in one game. Probably can't even do this in 2 games. It's going to be 3.
Yeah.
So unless one or both of those CEOs was completely fucking weird, it was just like, we just don't want, we want exclusivity on 2 of the 3 games. Like, why would you do that?
I mean, it's more like it's like we want exclusivity for however you need, how many games you need to tell the story.
Yes,
we want to make sure.
Yeah,
that we get it.
The whole story is on exclusive to Sony.
Yeah. Right, and the other thing is that I want to remind people who are worried is that there's like, for Final Fantasy, we're not getting Final Fantasy 17 before we get Part 3. There's no way in hell.
Yeah.
The next mainline Final Fantasy game will be Part 3. So if they want to cut back, if they want to reduce scope or anything like that, they would just be shooting themselves in the foot, because now all of a sudden, can you imagine if Part 3 was worse than Rebirth? Reviewers would skewer that game. They'd be like, they clearly cut budgets and cut corners and shit like that.
It's synonymous with the company as well. So if that does poorly, it's like, Square Enix is fucked now. Like, they're burning to the ground.
So, like, well, again, I'm not guaranteeing it because I'm not part of the organization. I would say that the new CEO should see the grander picture and be like, hey, you guys cooked. You got the highest scoring Final Fantasy game since 12 on the PS2. You guys, just do your best, and we just gotta get this behind us and move on to the next original project, so we can properly budget, properly put these on the platforms that we need to profit, and stuff like that. And the thing is, the tangentially related, Otakon just happened this weekend. It was the 20th anniversary, and they actually had multiple Final Fantasy game people there. They had people from 16, people from 14, and people from Rebirth. Like, not just voice actors, primarily voice actors, but even the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth team showed up. They were doing
cool.
signs. I didn't know that. I would have actually went if I known this ahead of time.
Yeah.
And they did a panel. And they were thanking everybody about it. They said they were looking forward to the future. And the one bit of good news we got, that because of the reception for Queen's Blood was so good, they're upping it in part 3, and they're guaranteeing it's returning, and they're making it
wow.
They're doubling.
Are they going to split it off and make it its own game? Like,
I hope so. That'd be awesome.
Like put a little mobile game out there.
I mean, that seems like a really easy way to, monetize that. So,
all right, cool. All right, and that's going to wrap it up for this episode, folks. So thanks for tuning in once again. We are live on Twitch Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock for the MovieCast and the Gamecast and some bonus rounds. So stay tuned for all that stuff coming up. If you missed all of these live broadcasts, YouTube is where all the action's at afterwards. So subscribe to both channels so you get notified when we post or when we go live. And leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully Mike's back, and we'll see you soon. We're out.